let's just take a couple of minutes and think about campaigns and designing campaigns and the content, particularly the content that goes into the email follow-ups that you're going to get within a campaign. So if I just kind of draw some stuff on the board here, hopefully you'll understand what it is as I draw it. I mean, fundamentally we've got a prospect, okay, and in the Infusionsoft world we're driving them to a landing page, a web form of some description, because what we're offering is some form of sort of lead magnet that we want them to be interested in. They've indicated interested in, and then we want to actually sell something to them. So we're going to take them to a sales page or an order form or something of that description. Okay, so if you think about the process that we're going to set up in terms of the technology and the content, what we need to do is, as they fill in the web form, obviously we're going to send them an email to say thanks for filling in the web form. We could deliver the content in that email, but what we're probably going to do is put some form of attachment, some links, some downloadable links, so we can track whether they've downloaded it. And what we want the person to do is to, I've just changed the colour here, we want them to click the link, and download the lead magnets. So we want to be able to measure that. They fill in the web form, they might get a flame of our lead score. Then they fill in the download the ebook or whatever, the lead magnet, they get another flame comes through on the lead score. After they've done that, we're probably going to send them another email, and in this email we're going to suggest that there's more values for them available if they go ahead and buy our product. So we really want to drive them with that email. We want to drive them to a kind of a web form that's either a cart or an order form, and then once they've done that, we want to upsell them to the next product. Okay, and as they go along here, they're getting another flame. They get to the point where they're a qualified lead, and we're actually marketing to them for a sale. And that's kind of fine, and we can figure out how to do that. But what happens if they don't click on the lead to download the ebook? Often when there's a campaign set up and some thought and going into the content of selling people that way, but not much really thought goes into what to sell them, what to do if they don't make those clicks. So if they don't make a click and download the ebook, well, we've spent all the money on capturing the lead, but they haven't actually got our next lead magnet. So what we probably want to do is to send them another reminder, and another reminder, and another reminder to make the click to download the ebook or the product, the lead magnet. And of course, because we've got trackable links in here, as soon as they make a click and download the products, what we're actually going to do is we're actually going to stop the campaign as soon as they make the click. So yeah, we are going to put some mitherings, some reminders, some letters in here, some emails in here, which try and drive them to take the action we want. But they're not necessarily going to get all of them, because as soon as they take the action that we really want them to take, we stop the rest of that follow-up sequence, and therefore they don't get annoyed and pestered to do something they've already done. Okay, that's the beauty of the automation in Infusionsoft. Okay, once they've made the download, of course, we know they downloaded the lead magnet, but we don't know whether they've read it. So really what we should be thinking about is, what can we do to send them information to encourage them to actually read whatever's in the lead magnet, or take advantage of whatever's in the lead magnet. And of course within here we have to put some content into that, into those emails there to follow up. Because what we really want to do is to measure and to track whether they're reading the lead magnet, the ebook, the newsletter that we've sent out, because that's what we want to do to track with our links here, to know whether they get another flame up here because they're reading it. So we want to measure the click-through rates on that. And of course, as soon as they click on something, then we're going to send them this email with a link in it which explains the value of why they should go to the order form and buy the product or buy the service. And of course, if they don't actually click on that link, then we want to send them some more reminders to follow up, to get them to click on the link, because that's our objective of that vertical email series. But just to remind everybody that that sounds as though we're pestering our potential clients, prospects an awful lot, but of course we're not, because as soon as they make these clicks, they stop the sequences and they never get the follow-up link. So we've now got people who've arrived on our order form and not actually purchased the product. So we've got like an abandonment tracking. We can do that because we know who's bought and we know who hasn't bought. Therefore, we can figure out, well, they came here, but they didn't buy. What was it about the product that they didn't buy? And of course, as soon as they buy, we no longer need to be sending them the emails, the follow-up emails for that sequence, because we can stop it as soon as they make the purchase action to buy, and so on. You know, and we can keep going through like that. Now that actually looks like, for a campaign, there's an awful lot of emails going out. But if you think about each of the verticals has a specific objective to get a click through, to move people through our funnel. So we've designed our funnel such that it's going to be effective. We can split test it and we can test it to see that it is effective. And of course, we don't necessarily only have to have emails in here. We can have, you know, telephone calls, which are still actually extremely effective, and postcards and physical things going out, all kind of triggered around here. But what people often get very stuck with is, well, what about the content? Where am I going to get all this different and new content from? Well, the answer is actually, or an answer, is in this book. If anybody hasn't read this book, then I highly recommend it. This is by Robert Cialdini, PhD, and it's Influence, the Psychology of Persuasion. And within this book, there's a series of chapters which come under the title of sort of weapons of influence. So the weapons of influence is reciprocation, commitment and consistency, social proof, liking, authority, and scarcity. So if we just take that information, because we know that information actually does work, and Cialdini's kind of research in the beginning, but since then lots of people, very smart marketeers, have read this book and put into action the things that he's talking about. There are other books, of course, and some great books on leads and how to generate opening sentences and that sort of material. In fact, you can spend a fortune with information marketeers who will teach you all this material. But if we just take that at sort of face value and say, well, how would I actually use those weapons of influence? What we get here is, in this first email series, somebody's actually filled in a web form. So we need to deliver something back to them. And what we want them to do is to click on our link in order to download the content we've given them. But we can start thinking about here, well, this is reciprocation. Kind of along there, but they didn't take that, they didn't buy the link. So what about using the next sort of weapon of influence, say social proof, which is testimonials, consistency, okay, and commitment and authority. So you can see how just using those different weapons of influence, so we're talking about the same thing, we're just restating it around the weapons of influence. So this email is really a copy or a clone of the one above it, just covering off another point. And of course, as soon as somebody makes the click to download the book, the objective of this series has finished. They've made the click to download the book, and then we move on to this series here, where we take the content that's in the book or the lead magnet, and we're restating whatever is in there, whatever the idea that we're trying to communicate is in there. But if we communicate using these weapons of influence that we've got here, it's kind of down the side, the other ones of course being liking and scarcity. So we can plan out our email series covering off whichever is appropriate of these, basically saying the same thing but repositioned in a different way. And if we do that all the way across, so that we've always got some content to go into these series. And then of course you can flip this on the other axis and just draw out across the axis going in this direction. Okay, the same thing. So you know, this first one and the first two are really reciprocation, and then you know, social proof and such like. Okay, so as we go across here, we're actually building out the same matrix, so to speak. Now, again, just to restate, looks like a lot of work, looks like a lot of material that goes into there, but it isn't really, because we're just taking the same material and respinning it, rehashing it with these things in mind. It looks like a lot of emails that are going to go to our potential customers. Well, only if they don't read any of them, and if they don't read any of them, then who cares? If they are reading them and they are effective, they're going to be following the call to action, they're going to be making the clicks, and they won't actually see all of these emails. They'll just see the emails that actually made sense to them, and therefore they'll get down the track with the emails that they required. For somebody else it may be a different number of emails, a different composition of the emails, but they'll self-select in here and end up hopefully getting down here into our sale, onto the order form, filling in the order form, and then through the upsell process, which works exactly the same way with exactly the same weapons of influence. So that's the idea that I call two-dimensional campaign building. It's really talking about content rather than the technology of how to do it. The technology of how to do it in Infusionsoft is fairly straightforward and fairly easy to do. We can all figure that out. It's just how to build this content out. So I hope that was helpful to you.